Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome to Quora with JC. Let's look at some more Quora questions. The first question is, why do homeless people in Europe not live in their cars? So Europe, of course, is a big continent. There's many countries there, and I really can't speak for any of them. I don't know why. But my image of homeless people, I mean the kind of traditional image is, somebody on the street, like on a kind of carpet with a cup and just waiting for people to drop coins. So these people live outside usually, yes. Um, so I know that, for example, I can only speak about countries where I lived in. So, for example, in when I was in England, in Oxford, people told me that there's a lot of homeless people there, and they actually live pretty well. They supposedly, allegedly, they have houses, or a house at least, one car, maybe two, but one at least. And they get money from welfare, and on top of that, they go and beg, and especially do that during the peak hours at bus stops, etc. Just every hour they patrol there. Hey, do you have some spare change? Do you have some spare change? That's how it works. And these guys also, I have to say, like most of them, the ones I've seen anyway, they look physically fit. You can put these people to work, but the question is, do they want to work? And that, I don't know the answer to that. So, but to this question though, why don't they live in their cars? Well, because I think most of the time, if you're poor, you don't have a car. But okay, yes, sure, there are some people who are poor, I guess, and they don't invest in a housing, so they invest in a car instead. So at least they can travel to work or something like that. But yeah, that's a pretty tough question to start with. But that would be my kind of answer. It really depends on where you are, though. Okay, next question. When will the USA finally make use of a deposit refund system on plastic bottles in shops like many European countries do? That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I would ask my American audience, if you experienced this, then please talk about it in the comments section. I think it's a great thing. I think we should do it. And I mean, it would encourage people to recycle, etc. And we need to recycle. The problem is, if you look at the recycling rates per country, they are actually fairly low. So again, it depends on country to country. There is, I think, one website called the Waste Atlas or something like that. You can check it out. It says, like, for example, in Japan is very proud of recycling, etc. Has a culture of recycling, actually, I should say. People are encouraged to do that anyway, to sort out the trash at home. But even here, the recycling rate is only 20%. About 20%, which is really, really low. I think in Germany, it's like about 50% or something like that. So there's still a lot of progress to be made. So I'm not very familiar with the recycling process. I don't really know how it works. So I don't know what's involved exactly. Obviously, it's not simple, because if it was simple, we'd have recycling rates close to 100%. But it's not the case. So I'm guessing it's pretty complicated. Yeah, but anyway, this type of refund system, yeah, absolutely, we should do that. Okay, the next question. This jerky process in society during the pandemic, which has lasted for over a year, what do you think it has individually on people and on society itself? So, yeah, in my view, the pandemic in many, many countries has been a case of start, stop, start, stop. And we haven't really, I mean, if you really kind of want to go tough on the question, I think we could have beaten this thing in probably 2 to 3 months. Probably, if we all made a concerted effort. But we didn't do that. Every country behaved at different times. They reacted different times. And so you have like a a reduction in country A, but then a strong growth in country B, for example. And this we see all the time, and this has been going on for over a year. Honestly, I don't know how long it's going to go on for, because, well, obviously people have not learned any lessons. Because again, if we did kind of aggressively tackle this problem, I think we could beat this thing in 2 to 3 months. But no, it's not. It's going to drag on and on and on. So yeah, I'm not very optimistic about it. Next question: could a poster like this, and I guess there's an image attached, which I can't see, which doesn't help. Does it help people understand why they should use face masks and convince them to do so to prevent the spread of the COVID-19? Okay, all right. I don't need to see the picture. I can like imagine a poster about promoting masks. So what is my opinion here? My opinion is that like wearing a mask is the absolute bare minimum you could do. So some people already can't do that. So they can't do the bare minimum, which is to wear a mask, which is pretty amazing to me. And it just shows that there's a lot of assholes out there. And so now we know who they are, like for sure. This pandemic has really kind of, shone a light on these type of assholes out there. Now we know who they are. We know who the racists are. We know who the non-maskers are, etc. So yes, it's good to know who they are. At least they're not hiding. They're in the open. So there are many, there are many scientists who have made videos about, like when a person kind of cuffs, well, it was a mannequin, when the mannequin cuffs. I think it was real people too, actually, yeah. So they showed like the spread of the particles without a mask and with a mask, and obviously without a mask the spread is much greater, as you would expect. Like, it's not even rocket science. Like, I don't understand what's the whole deal there. It's like people think like it's some kind of rocket science. It's not. It's just very, very simple. You're not going to block everything, yes, but you are going to reduce that area that you can potentially infect. So that's important, and that's very easy, and this is the bare minimum people could do, and a lot of people can't even do that. So that's just, that's shame on them. Next question. This one is pretty interesting because I actually live in Japan, as you know. What do people who have moved from the US to Japan do for a living? So okay, I can only speak about my experience, and it's quite limited because, I don't actually go out a lot. I don't really like interact with people, etc. But I do interact with some. So I know that usually Japan, especially if you come from the US, Japan wants to get the best possible people. So this means a lot of IT people are coming over, and also like from countries like India, etc. That's true, it must be said. Project managers, usually these type of people. I mean, I'm an artist. I'm a starving artist in Japan. So there you go. Nobody actually brought me to Japan. I came here by myself, initially to teach English, but of course I had other ambitions. But it's kind of a long story. I don't want to go into it too much. I mean, I just have my kind of issues, and I have my things to do, so that means I can't do certain other things here, etc. So yeah, but I would say that in general, especially coming from the US, Japan wants to get the best possible people so that they are productive in society, and people really make an impact here. That's very important. So yeah, I would say like most of them probably are IT jobs, because in developed nations these days, most of the jobs are like office jobs, IT jobs, etc. already. It's very kind of service industry jobs, which is probably 70-80% in developed nations. Whereas, farming, etc. is very low generally. And then in developing nations, it's kind of the opposite. You got a lot of people in farming still, etc. Although that is changing. This is all changing. Next question, and this one has to be a classic. This has to be like a Darwin Award winner here. So, did the English language originate in America? I'm not even gonna answer. I'm just gonna leave it there for a few seconds and we'll move on to the next question because, yeah. Next question, and this again is very interesting one. I mean, this one, man, today we have some good questions here. This one is very interesting to me because it's on a topic of time travel, which I find fascinating. I mean, man, you got like, things like Steins Gate and Terminator. I mean, these stories are, without time travel, it's not the same thing at all, right? So, yeah, man, this is such a fascinating topic. So, could a time traveler prevent the Black Plague or, kill Hitler, for example, etc.? Well, when it comes to Hitler, by the way, I think that even if he got killed, somebody else would take his place. I'm not sure, of course, if it would be such a maniac like Hitler, but you never know. It might be someone even worse. That's the thing. So, okay, but here we're talking about in general, I guess, about time travel. Can you stop certain events from unfolding? Okay, this depends on how you think about time travel, because there are basically, it's kind of complicated, but just bear with me for a second. The way it works is that we have to ask the question first of all, and the question is right now, so like, I don't know, today, April 23rd, whatever, 2021, is this the present? And that's a very, very important and crucial question. Is the moment right now, is this the present? Or are we actually like in the past somewhere? So there is actually a future, and obviously there's no way to interact with it, and maybe it doesn't interact with us back. So that we have to kind of figure out, and that is a very complex question, as you can imagine. So yeah, we have to figure out whether we are in the actual present or not, first of all. Secondly, you have to understand how time works, because is it just a straight line, or is it like a multi-world scenario, like the Everett Wheeler model, I think it was called, where basically things kind of branch out, into different branches, and each branch has life in it. It just goes on like in parallel to other branches, and sometimes they may converge. Sometimes there may be events in both branches that force them to converge, and vice versa. There could be events that cause them to diverge. So this is a very complex question, but I think I just gave you kind of the theory, at least to think about. And what do I personally believe? Well, that's a kind of, again, I don't know. My answer is I don't know, because I don't have the evidence. I can't tell you my answer because I just don't know enough about the topic, and neither do some very clever physicists, etc., because they also have not figured out yet this type of answer. So we don't know. If we go by, let's say, the parallel world branching out theory, it is possible. It's definitely a possibility. And then, if you, let's say, prevent the Black Plague, then instead of going in one direction, history would evolve in a different direction. And then you have a bunch of consequences in that branch. So you can just see from my answer alone that this is a very, very complicated question. So this requires more study. Okay, last question for today, and this one is from Shiv Kumar Chakravarti. I hope I pronounced it correctly. What is a surprising difference between Japanese and US hospitality, and what does it say about boundaries? Okay, well, I lived in both countries, and I can tell you that, well, okay, obviously I haven't been everywhere in the US, that's true. I've only been to like New York, Boston, and that's pretty much it, actually. And I lived in Toronto for a while, but that's Canada. So I would say that in America, I felt very welcome. And I mean, obviously I have Russian heritage. My name is very Russian. I was born in New York, though. That's the thing. I'm an American citizen. But you can see that, okay, people look at you and they see you have a Russian name. It's not John or Adam or Daniel or something like that. And you may think that this might increase the level of hostility towards a person. But I didn't feel it. I mean, I didn't see that. I had many coworkers and they were very happy with me and I was very happy with them. No problem there at all. I think in general, American people, of course, it depends where you are geographically and, you know, who you talk to. But I would say in general, American people are very open, very friendly. And in Japan, the difference is well, first of all, when you come to Japan, the first thing they tell you is that Japanese people are two-faced. So they have a public face and a private face. But actually, this is true for every country. So they think that Japanese say that, and they're very kind of proud of it. This is not unique to Japan. They didn't invent this thing, okay? We all have two faces, actually. I have a public face and I have a private face. So, but okay, maybe in Japan it's more pronounced. I would say that when it comes to hospitality here, they follow kind of the rules, you know? They follow the rules of good behavior, etc., because of the rules. So I'm not sure they do that because they are good people or just because they're trying to follow the rules. That's what I'm not sure about. Because in America, it's if people are open and friendly, it's just because they are good and friendly and open people, and that's for sure. Now in Japan, it's not for sure, and that's the difference. So does it mean that in Japan you'll have a bad experience in hospitality? No, of course not at all. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's going to be different. Here, it feels like the relationships are kind of more professional. There is an intent behind them, a kind of business intent. And in America, not so much. And that's probably the main difference, I would say. All right, that's all for today. I hope I gave you some good answers today. And we had some really good questions today, by the way. That was really cool, especially the time travel one. I love time travel. Okay, that's it for today, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.